Well, John, all hell's breaking loose.
Oh, it is.
Roseanne's coming off of the Planet of the Apes, and she's losing her job, and the culinary union here is about to strike, if not going to strike.
Good for them.
Good for them. We went through a strike. I remember it not fondly, but because it was a pain in the ass to park. But you remember when we worked at the Venetian, we there was a strike, and they picketed the Venetian. And because Adelson refuses to use culinary union, he still doesn't, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But 50,000 plus are possible leaving. They're not going to. Obviously, it's going to be like 20,000.
Is it all the hotels just MGM?
No, MGM and Caesars.
And Caesars.
Yeah,
okay.
And Caesars. And they say that if they can't come to a meeting of the minds, which there was a recent article within the last 12 hours that said they had. There was another reciprocal article that said, no, that's horseshit. They have not. But the union reps have said they're going to tier it. They're going to take 20,000 out and put them, out of the casinos. And if that doesn't work, another 10, then another 10. And then to add up to about 50,000. I don't know if the union reps and leaders have that type of support. Because people need jobs, and they need to work, and there's certainly not a line of scabs waiting for these jobs. So I think the casinos are getting a little bit of their comeuppance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because unlike being a driver for Uber or Lyft, so let's hire anybody.
Right.
You have to have some knowledge.
Yeah.
You have to have some skill when you're dealing. They have dealer schools here. They have courses.
Yeah.
Community college.
Right.
So College of Southern Nevada has classes in gaming.
Yeah.
But you have to have a knowledge of the game and what you're doing.
Sure.
So you just can't hire any old schmuck off the street and do it.
No, and I mean, there's housekeepers, and I mean, they're basic jobs. I mean, they're blue collar level, extremely important, obviously. But 10 million a day, they're expecting to lose if the strike goes.
Oh wow!
The town, and that's pocket change as far as the town is concerned. However, a couple 3 days down the line, 30, 50 million. That's a little different.
Yeah, and then you get into because then you're starting to get into summer.
Yeah,
you're going to get into the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of activity lately because of the Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup.
Yes.
So and there will be at least one more game in Las Vegas.
Yes.
Because the series is tied as of this broadcast.
I'm thrilled for him. I think it's fantastic. I caught game 1. I saw a little bit of the game 2, and then the outside of T-Mobile. The people that can't get in watching on the big screens. That's fantastic. But I think it is going to be a stark comparison to the Raiders. As I watch as I see the cranes move in to make the stadium a reality, but I'm thrilled for him because I think it sets the bar for the Raiders. I think the Raiders need to come in and realize that that Las Vegas does care. And can care. Maybe can care is a better way to put that, because to my surprise, the whole town and the outlying areas have come forth to say go Knights go, and that's amazing because our transient nature, we are fickle.
Yeah. And even I've been watching the games and interested. And, I mean, I'm a big hockey fan, but I'm a Sharks fan because I grew up. That's my team. And usually when a team beats the Sharks in the playoffs, which happens pretty much every year,
right?
That then it's sour grapes, and I say, well, I want you to lose.
Yeah.
Whoever beats, except this time, the Golden Knights beat the Sharks.
Yeah.
We'll say, okay, fine. You beat my team. Okay, I wanted the Sharks to win, but you're my second favorite team.
Yeah.
So go get them.
There you go. Well, everybody, welcome to the Pod Bay Door. If you'd like to get a hold of us, our email is thepodbaydoorlv@gmail.com. And anything you'd like to know or say or tell John, remind John that, again, he's crabby. It's thepodbaydoorlv@gmail.com. And a big hello to everybody from John and I. Thanks again to our sponsor this month, MRS.com, or actually mrs-events.com, for all of your local entertainment needs. They do a fantastic job. They have entertainers and models, hot chicks, John's hot chicks, and event planning, and they do a truly fantastic job. It's mrs-events.com. Check those guys out if you have a special event coming to Las Vegas. John is wearing our Pod Bay Door t-shirt.
I am
thrilled. Go Pod Bay Door Go.
That's it. Let's go. We need our own team.
Hey guys, check out our social network, Twitter, Facebook, WordPress, all that stuff out there, Instagram, and there I've had some quite a few pictures of our T-shirts floating around out there that have finally rolled in. So check that out next week, and you can see what those shirts look like. And if you would like one, again, check that email out, thepodbaydorlv@gmail.com, and maybe we can arrange that for you. John.
Yes.
A big question that's always posed to me because we have friends and family here in Las Vegas. With all of the changes happening, we've talked about the Raiders and the Golden Knights and everything, all the new things that are happening in Las Vegas. Do you feel... How long have you been a local? How long have you been here? I think I've asked this
10
before.
years?
10 years, okay. Plenty of time. Do you think Las Vegas is not necessarily turning its back on, but do you think it's forgetting its local community a little bit?
Yeah, I think there was a time when, you went places, you went to the casinos, you went to shops there where they gave a local discount.
Yeah.
And maybe they still do in some cases. Usually when I ask now, they just say, no.
Yeah. Once a year, they do a big local special for tickets.
Yes.
Specifically, the Cirque
performance.
Cirque
$99 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. Or they 2 for 1 or whatever.
Yeah, and the Wynn does that also for Le Rev.
Le Rev.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my answer is yes. I'll let you expound on a little bit, but I think that But yes, a qualified yes, because I think that the local community is more like us than they want to admit. Meaning that the hoopla and the difficulties parking and all of the things that go into actually just going to the Strip. It's no longer the nuance to us. It's like I said before, I don't want to. Anybody that comes here for their first visit needs to be excited. It's a fantastic place. But those of us that have been here 10 plus years, it becomes a little difficult, especially if you live like in an Orlando or an Anaheim. It's a pain in the ass. But that being said, I think Las Vegas has taken a cue from that and said, we don't need the locals. Because we have, like, for example, the M Resort. They were far too, the distance between the M and where Las Vegas proper is, where all the fun is, too far. They broke the rule, location. It's an absolutely beautiful property.
Yeah, it's nice.
And they said, okay, well then we're going to do the local thing. Well, the locals didn't show up either because I think it was too expensive. Yeah. I think their price points on all things were too expensive. So this lovely, beautiful place, and one of the best pools, I think, in the city.
You know who's playing there tonight? Bush. Not George Bush. W or HW, but the band, the 90s band.
Yes. GW is doing 3 minutes on stage.
Yeah. He can do a stand-up routine.
Bush.
Yes.
Wow.
Playing the pool at the M Resort tonight.
Wow.
$30.
I don't know. I guess everybody's got to work.
Yeah.
But that's fun, and the M Resort has that. They've had wonderful pool concerts. They 1 year they concentrated solely, seemingly on country, and they had amazing country acts.
Yeah.
But no, they just couldn't get the crowds.
Yeah.
But I do think Las Vegas unfortunately took a cue from that. They're like, well, if you're not going to show up, we're not going to market to you. Now, I still get, on a daily basis, the Las Vegas propaganda. I mean, I get books and flyers and one sheets and almost every day hawking the wares of my local casino. But I don't know. It's not attractive. It just
usually station casinos will do that, right? I get that too. They send things out. But you think about the parking situation. For about a year, they allowed locals to park for free.
Yes,
and that was it. Show your license, locals park for free. No longer, right?
Yeah. So, and there's a question coming up. From one of our listeners. I have just gotten done working a large, conference here in Las Vegas. It's called JCK. Yeah. If anybody cares.
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass. If anybody cares, JCK stands for the Jewelers Circular Keystone, which used to be the magazine that they used to publish. and it is the world's largest jewelry convention. And without question, that is not they're not tooting their own horn. It is giant.
Yeah.
And everybody from costume jewelers all the way up to Cartier.
Yeah.
It's an interesting bunch of folks. John and I have dealt with them for many years, the Venetian, and then I dealt with them almost every year after that.
Yeah.
They are aggressive. They are unpleasant.
Yes.
They are demanding.
Annoying, everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and they drive a tremendous amount of business into Vegas. That's one of the things that's a problem is for locals, is that when CES, JCK, SEMA, all of these giant conventions in town, we stay away for the week and a half that it's involved.
Yeah.
And so I think Las Vegas has said, well, okay, we're going to give you off season. We're going to give you 2-for-1 once a year. And we'll throw out a couple of 2-for-1 buffets if you play a little bit, and that's kind of it.
Yeah,
I
guess maybe because in the old days, people who lived here either worked in the hotel casino industry or they worked serving the people in the hotel, casino industry. You know, whether or not they were, we work at the supermarket,
right?
And who are the customers? People all work in that's why the stores are 24 hours because the hotels never close.
Yeah,
and you will find people, quite a few shoppers at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning because they're off work, whatever. That's when they shop.
Yeah.
So everything was like that. That either you worked in the industry or you served those in the industry, and I guess that's not the case anymore.
Right.
There are other things going on.
Now, the strange thing that's happened in Las Vegas, to me, in reference to this sort of local community, being set aside, on the other side of it, we seem to have we're losing big box stores left and right.
Yeah.
Sears just announced a closure of 63 stores.
Yeah, they already closed the one in Henderson.
Yeah, Kmart already dead in Las Vegas. Yeah. Circuit City long dead. Best Buy is already trimming down what they're doing. But then on the other side of it, we have strange big box stores that are rebuilding. Total Wine.
Oh yeah,
are we drinking that much here
I'm
in Las
not.
Vegas? I mean,
Right.
I just and Total Wine right next to Fry's Electronics. For those of you who don't know, Fry's Electronics was started as a grocery store, then the brothers started the electronics store, and it's a giant electronics store, which does okay. I mean, it's a Las Vegas staple, but right next to that. But we have the strangest things going on in Las Vegas, and as a local, I can't tell which direction we're going.
Yeah.
We had again, to reiterate, the Raiders are coming in, the gauntlet that is the Raiders, and the cranes are in place. The foundation is being set, and there's no avoiding it. They're the silver and black's coming, and that is going to be an enormous change in our infrastructure. We all, as locals, agreed that the stadium location was not where we wanted it. Because although they're paying for the infrastructure changes and the off ramp construction, but oh Lord, it's going to be like the Venetian where we worked. It's just going to be packed in there like
they haven't really solved their parking problem.
No,
it's going to have. It's going to be a nightmare. That was a terrible. I mean, it's a nice location in the sense of people being on the strip, going to a game if that was what they were here for.
Yeah.
But with so much open land around here, in this area, because it's still a lot of desert.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of there's areas in my neighborhood that were zoned off and were going to be buildings, and then when the economy tanked, they just stopped. So it's just just a fence around an empty lot. They could have built a stadium there. Not that I would want it there, but I'm just saying that's. Yeah. We're out by where they're building the practice facility for the Raiders out in Henderson.
Yes.
By the Henderson Executive Airport. Yeah. They could have put the stadium out there.
Well, they could have put it, now granted, land availability is a big deal. And this is again, above both of our pay grades. But, there were a large number of lots that I think would be more appropriate over by the M, to even mention. I mean, there's wonderful land right there. Again, I don't know if it's available, but
well, that's the whole. I mean, are they really expecting people to fly in? Oh, we're going to go to a Raiders game this weekend. Because I wonder, do they fly into Oakland to see the Raiders? Now from Oakland, from the Oakland airport, you can get on BART right there at the airport now,
right?
And you can go right to the stadium in a few minutes. It's right on the way there. I don't think so. Because I've been there. I've been in Oakland, and I've been there on weekends when the Raiders played, and I didn't see. They're drawing from the local community.
They are drawing from local, and they have a huge fan base, and now a very upset fan base.
Yeah.
And I would say a high percentage. I would say 70% of the local fan base is not coming to Vegas.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. I love flying into Oakland. I would always choose
nice,
that over SFO.
Yeah, me too.
Price being number one.
Yeah.
But it's just a real shot across the bridge, and it's such a great place.
There are other reasons. The weather in Oakland at the airport is much nicer than the weather in SFO.
I totally agree.
So the fog is an issue because it'll delay flights.
Yes.
Also, SFO is limited on the number of runways they have, just because of when they built it, and it gets a lot of traffic and there's delays. So Oakland, you don't have the delays. I know when I have to fly into San Francisco for work meetings, it's 40 minutes by BART from either station, from either airport.
Yeah.
So I can get downtown San Francisco 40 minutes. Either I take SFO or I fly in Oakland. So I'd rather fly in Oakland.
Well, to answer your question, are they coming in? I don't know, but those who do come to Vegas to see the Raiders play, I think it's going to cause an explosion in rideshare programs. I think Uber and Lyft are going to be killing it.
Yeah.
However, there have been no plans yet discussed to make a specific and available and accessible rideshare drop-off and pickup location at the stadium. So again, I'm sure it's coming, but if they decide, a lot of people don't like that. Airports don't. I don't know if you've been to the East Coast. You and I have both flown to LAX.
Yeah.
And they give a little tiny space, and every airport says, okay, Uber, you can go over there in the corner by the trash cans.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if we're going to be the same, but I think there's going to be an explosion in rideshare. Cabs are still, cabs are in Vegas are plentiful, but they're pissy.
Yeah.
Because they're losing out to the rideshares.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's interesting. Now what it does bring, which actually brings us into our the next topic here, is an increase in the number of new businesses.
Yeah.
Now, how they could be short-lived, like a lot of businesses are here in Las Vegas, but that the question being, is Las Vegas? Are we becoming trendy to our detriment? We've talked about the foods and the all the different types of things that are here that are literally just trends. I think yes. I'm always the one that's tagged with being the negative one on the show, but I think yes. I think we're and it contributes to the loss of locals, and I think it contributes to the budget per family that we talked about last show.
Yeah.
And I really do. I think it's somewhat unfair of the Las Vegas visiting community to say, oh, it's too expensive, or oh, we don't want to do that, or oh, it's too much trouble, because some of these businesses are great, but I think Las Vegas has caught itself or got itself caught in oh, we need to do what's trendy to attract the new generation and the trendy people. And John, you've made it a big point. Las Vegas is not for the trendy person.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And it shouldn't be. And we all, as locals, I think, especially within our age bracket, long for the old days. Hell, we even long for pre-90s.
Yeah.
Before Steve, caught a hold of us. I think there's no possible way we're going towards more simplicity in Vegas. And I don't know what that's going to cause. I mean, we can't retro. We can have retro restaurants that are trendy, but we can't turn the clock back.
That's right.
Now, what is the first year you came here, for any reason?
1980.
1980.
I came in 1980. I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
I had my girlfriend at the time. I was living in San Francisco. She worked for a clothing store.
Yeah.
And they had opened up a a shop in a brand new mall in Las Vegas, the Fashion Show Mall.
The Fashion Show Mall.
And they had opened, it might have been there a year or two, but anyhow, it was pretty new. And anyhow, they're opening a store there, and they needed somebody to go down there and train the new staff and the procedures and whatever. So she went down for that. And it was in the summer, so I went down too. And I'm trying to remember where we stayed. They owned a condo somewhere. It just seemed to me we got in a taxi, and there was just a lot of nothing. But my time on the Strip, I remember going to the Stardust. I remember going to the dunes and walking between the hotels. That's a pretty good walk.
It is.
And there was a lot of nothing.
Yeah.
At that time, I mean, there was the sands, and up the street there was the dunes, and the Flamingo. But there was that Fashion Show Mall. But other than that, there just wasn't a lot there.
Yeah.
So.
And north was nothing.
That's right. There was nothing past the dunes. Really,
then Sahara, of course, is there. Yeah. Which marked the midpoint between the Fashion Show Mall and what is referred to as downtown Las Vegas.
Yep.
And then between Sahara and downtown, really nothing until the Stratosphere popped up with big old Bob Stupak.
Yeah, and that's funny because back, like I said, when I was there in 80, you had the Stardust, which was big.
Yeah.
You had the Sahara, you had the Riviera, right? And those are all in that end of the Strip now that's pretty much deserted.
Yeah.
Because the Riviera is gone. Mm-hmm. Well, all three of them are gone.
All three.
But there's nothing where the Stardust was. They started to build something and they haven't finished it. Mm-hmm. The Riviera became part of the convention center. Mm-hmm. And then you have the Sahara. What is that? SLS? What the hell?
SLS now.
And that's not doing very well because it's the only thing down there.
No, it struggles.
That and the Stratosphere.
And Stratosphere became a locals joint almost immediately.
Yeah.
And then they rolled the dice on their carnival rides and such, and that it does draw a lot of people there, but that's it. They have the Top of the World restaurant, which is actually quite fun.
Yeah.
To at least see the view. I can't say the food is any better or worse than anything, but it's a great place to look at the city. But it never broke out of the locals thing. And I think honestly, this may be unfair of me to say, but I think they would have imploded and moved on if it wasn't uniquely tall.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a destruct plan for it that isn't going to cause huge problems. So that they're going to keep going with it.
Well, I think what disappoints people when they come and see it, if they don't know any better, mm-hmm. is they don't realize that the Stratosphere Tower is not the hotel. The hotel, the room towers are alongside of it. You don't stay in that tower. You're not going to have a room right underneath the Top of the World restaurant. That's just not that tall. You just have this big structure next to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And it's no taller than, it's actually quite a short hotel.
It is short, yeah.
And people are also a little disappointed, although I think it's still a spectacular place. They're good friends of mine. The Eiffel Tower restaurant is actually midway, up the Eiffel Tower, and there's really not much else to go than that. But if you want a fantastic meal or to get a great drink and watch the Bellagio fountains, that's the place to go.
Eiffel Tower.
Or the restaurant outside of course, underneath.
Mon Ami
Gabi. Still there, a fantastic place. Again, people watch the fountains. The only problem with Mon Ami is now, as we're going to experience tomorrow, 108 degrees. Yay!
Yes.
It's hot.
Yeah,
it's hot to have a sandwich out there.
Yeah. But unless you want a hot sandwich, right?
Yeah,
gives a whole new meaning to hot chicks.
There you go.
But it's interesting though, because you've seen more so than I have. Because I, as a true local now, I don't spend much time on the Strip. But you do, because in fact you probably get around more than you did at the concierge desk.
I absolutely do.
We were anchored to the Venetian, and it was the irony was every now and then I would get show tickets that I couldn't use because I had to work.
Yeah,
I don't have time to go to the show, so I have to give it to somebody else. Right. Let me know what it was like. Restaurants, the same thing. When am I going to have a chance to go?
Yeah, we poke fun. Well, we more than poke fun. We mercilessly make fun of our jobs at the Venetian. But we did receive a tremendous number of perks that most people can't even imagine. And yes, oftentimes I agree with you, John. I had to give away many things, but we had wonderful meals, wonderful shows, wonderful tours. It was a great perk, and I wish it could have continued as such.
Yeah.
But I do get around a lot more. I know more now about the ins and outs and special little alleyways and ways to get out of problem spots than I ever did.
Yeah.
I mean, when we worked at the Venetian, I swear to God, there was a groove between my house and the garage of the Venetian.
Yes.
It was like Cartopia. I did never change. But now, I mean, yesterday, for example, I was Mandalay Bay, which has gone from one of the most convenient parking, both surface and structure parking, to the biggest nightmare I have ever seen. It was awful.
Really?
Now, it's awful primarily due to the awful people that are managing it. And all they need is about 100 people to cause a backup all the way to the street.
Mm-hmm.
And it's ridiculous what they've done. And it's all due to the charging for parking.
Yeah.
And of course, a conference like JCK comes in and they raise the parking. So what do they do when they raise the parking? They have to reprogram the machines. What happens when you deal with anything with computers? They break down and don't do it right.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and mainly the problem is nowadays, it's really funny to me, they'll let you in. You can get your ticket. Everything's fine as far as technology.
Getting out.
Yeah. Suddenly we can't get out because the technology has failed us. But, we'll just move on to the first question. Jared, off of Facebook, wrote in to both of us, and he said, Jamey and John, I'm coming for my first conference ever to Las Vegas.
Good for you.
My condolences. What is it really like? What is a conference really like in Las Vegas? And, John, you go first.
Well, I guess it's going to depend where it's going to be at.
Venetian.
Yeah, to be at the Venetian.
Venetian. Sorry, I didn't mention it. Yeah, Venetian.
Oh, well, the Venetian, their grand view of things, when we opened, was you would never have to leave the hotel.
Yes. And
having had to go to conferences myself in other cities, I'd say that there's a real convenience in that. Depends on what you want to do. Because you have, when I was there, it was only the Venetian. Now they have the Palazzo.
Yes.
But we had 16 restaurants in the Venetian. Now there's more. So you could stay there and just never leave if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. Now things are going to be expensive. You're going to spend money, but you're going to spend money anywhere you're going to go. So if you want, and the other nice thing, if you've never been to Las Vegas, is from the Venetian, you can wander out and go pretty much see all of the primary tourist spots. Mm-hmm. On foot, assuming, it might be hot, you go out at night, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, you're going to be able to see everything on foot. Downtown, you're going to need a ride. But other than that, you can see everything there. It's going to be very comfortable, but it is large. So checking in, we're going to know, you're going to expect a huge line, but it moves fast. Mm-hmm. And it's just, everything is the economy of scale. Mm-hmm. Which, when I go into a hotel, I always ask people, hey, how many rooms in your hotel? We have 250, like they think 250. Holy shit, we had that on one floor.
Exactly. Exactly. I agree with you. The experience at the Venetian specifically can be exasperating.
Yeah.
Or intimidating. When you walk in, like John said, there's it could be an enormous line, which does go relatively quickly if our computers if their computers are working correctly. If they're not, then you might get a free drink because then they send the cocktail.
And then you're angry and drunk.
Yeah, brilliant. And once you get checked in, of course, it's depending on what tower you check into, it could be several hundred yards to the elevators to get to your room.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a person that likes to use the bell service and get your luggage taken up, great, do it. I would do it. A couple of bucks a bag and you're fine. But if you're not, you're going to be dragging your bags. Not only you're going to drag your bags down the long marble hallway, through the casino, past the food court, up the escalators. Yeah. So I mean, it can be a little exasperating.
Another thing I would tell people, which they don't think about, you wouldn't do this in other places. Ask for a map of the hotel.
Yes.
Because, you're going to get the map. You're going to be able to see where everything's at.
That's
particularly
right.
those meeting rooms, because it can get confusing. When I was there, and I'm sure nothing's changed, they were not allowed to put up any signs.
Yeah.
The only sign we had on there was to advertise Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Somehow that wasn't tacky or demeaning of a 5-star elegant resort.
Yeah.
But, hey, putting up a sign that says, the ballroom is here, No, we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
That would be shoddy.
Yeah. Now the ballrooms, of course, where the convention happens in the Sands Exposition, it's directly connected to the Venetian, and that is several hundred, if not, I'd say 300 to 400 yards from your elevators, your room elevators.
Yeah.
Through more casino, through another food court, a
Yeah.
little bit higher end.
Yeah.
Past the box office, past the showroom,
and then it gets really quiet unless there's something going on, right? Because I remember one time they decided to put one of our desks, kind of a satellite desk, down. And remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So we went down there, and it was quite literally an 8 to 10 minute walk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say, okay, well, hey, this is fine. My shift's over, because nobody was there. Everybody had gone, right? It was, they had a schedule there. They had me scheduled there to like 5 o'clock.
Right.
But all of the exhibits or the meetings were over at 4. So I sat there alone.
Yeah.
I mean, with nothing. There was just nobody there for an hour, and then walked up. It takes me 10 minutes to walk back to the desk. And I know exactly where I'm going.
Yeah. One thing I would suggest, now conventioneers were never our favorites because they're deer in the headlight the minute they get into Vegas.
Yeah.
Except that guy. We've talked about that guy. He's an expert on everything. But one thing I would recommend is save, if you're not being paid for, if you're not an expensed a conventioneer, and you're paying for everything yourself except for travel, save budget for one really nice night.
Yeah.
A nice meal, a nice show, a nice lounge, a nice drink, and then the rest of it, take it easy on yourself, because you're going to pound your wallet, you're going to pound yourself physically and mentally. Just have one really nice night, and the rest of it, just play it by ear.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all for planning, but you can over plan Vegas. You need to let Vegas happen to you, I think, sometimes.
But you know, also in the Venetian, we had the Grand Lux Cafe, which was, I mean, they would consider it their quote unquote coffee shop.
Yeah.
That was owned by the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes.
And in terms of you know, it's not going to be the elegant you're going to get with Emeralds,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, it's pretty reasonably priced,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it's not bad. I didn't think it was bad.
No, I didn't think so at all. You know, and there are some fantastic restaurants. Now, I don't know if we've discussed this, but what I have one convention story that I enjoy telling the story every time. So I apologize to our listeners if you heard this, but one of the large conventions. I mean, we saw JCK, we saw
World of Cement,
World of Concrete, World of Concrete. Oh yeah, we and Firestone, and then of course,
and then those pricks from Coldwell Banker,
yes, Amway.
Amway and the Candle People,
and that's my story. Yeah. Candlelight. I was actually spoken to by the hotel manager about some of the comments I made about Candlelight. I referred to them as Amway of candles, and it was overheard by one of the Candlelight people who was incensed and thought I should be disciplined. This was way before the Me Too movement. Oh. It was Candle too. I mean, it was they were on me about this statement, but proof in the pudding was Candlelight. The conventioneers caused a procedural change of the Venetian. After Candlelight, we banned pizza delivery cars from coming to the Venetian in the valet area because Candlelight refused to pay the exorbitant prices of our restaurants at the Venetian and ordered pizza.
Yeah.
Ordered pizza in the hundreds of pizzas.
Yeah.
And therefore, we banned them. They could no longer come in the valet service area.
Interesting. Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes, and we made all the Candlelight cheapos, all the giant candle ladies. Yeah. Made them go to the valet to pick up their, or not valet, made them go to the street level to pick up their pizzas. Oh yes.
Well, that was probably around that time then that somebody called and said that they couldn't get their slice of pizza out of the microwave oven in the room. Yeah, microwave.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. It was the safe.
It was a safe.
Now, remember back in 1999, 2000, that wasn't very common.
Yes.
You know, to have an in-room safe. Now they're really common, and they put them. Most hotels put them in the closet. Mm-hmm. But we had the armoire in the suites, and that's where they put it, under the television.
Yeah.
So somebody put it in there and typed it in there, and I said, well, no, that's a safe. It's not a microwave.
Right.
Oh, well, the pizza's going to get cold. Well, it's already cold, right? I mean, that's why you put it in the microwave, or what you thought was a microwave. Well, you have to get the engineer up there to open it to release the pizza. He's going to be up there 20 minutes. Why? Because he's got other calls of people who put stuff in there and forgot their combination.
Now, the room safes, here's a life hack for you. The room safes of the Venetian, when John and I worked there, you put your code in, you go boop, boop, boop. Yeah. You hit close, and then it saves your number, and then you go boop, 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 and open it. Well, what people didn't know, there was a very tiny, obvious lever on the bottom of the safe that you reached underneath and clicked it, and the door opened.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same, but if you ever have a problem with your safe, check that first before you call somebody. We had a second question. Is what? I'm sorry. This is from Bobby J, and this is from Twitter. What was the most a guest spent with you on a special occasion as a concierge? I had to think about this one. I can go first. If
go ahead.
The most a guest ever spent with me had to have been, if I remember his name right, his name was not Muramoto. It was a Japanese gentleman. Very, very nice. Very nice. Very short. Extremely short.
Most of them are.
Yes, but very short, like 4 feet. It was a little tiny. Big wallet. And he was a Japanese business person, but he was in Vegas strictly to gamble. And I got a hold of him. Spoke English just fine. Ultimately I turned him on to our colleague Kana, because that was her wheelhouse. But he needed stuff done, and his wife was coming in. It was their anniversary, and he wanted everything. He wanted the Le Cirque restaurant. He wanted whichever headliner was there, Madonna or whatever, every helicopter rides, Grand Canyon stuff. He wanted across the board everything I could possibly, from chocolate covered strawberries to Madonna tickets. And if my memory serves correctly, he was in the area of $45,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That I transacted for him. And of course it was a Centurion black American Express card.
Yeah.
Easy 45, but just the Madonna tickets were, probably close to 10.
Yeah.
But about 45,000, I think. Wow. Yeah. And he could have probably got it out of his wallet. He was he was a big player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big buck. How about you?
Well, I remember I had a Brazilian guy, and it was his wife's birthday. And he was there with the wife and 2 other people, whether they were just friends or relative. I don't know. There were 4 of them.
Yeah.
And I remember the room service. He wanted to have a party, so he rented, in addition to their rooms, he got one of the bigger suites. Mm-hmm. We had those suites, and they really weren't any nicer. They were just bigger. Mm-hmm. So just for this one night, he rented that room just to have their party, and there were just the 4 of them. Well, the room service charge that we arranged was over $2,000 just for the room service for these 4 people. Then he had the entertainers, and he had streepers, male streepers. Yes. What else do you want? I got him a magician. I got Gary Darwin to show up.
I made their clothes disappear.
Yeah, and he had the strippers. He had Gary Darwin. He had, I forgot, something else in there. Plus he tipped me. And I remember the only other thing he asked, and then balloons and a cake. I ordered a cake for him. So he wasn't out 45 large, but he was out, a substantial amount for just one night. I mean, in the hotel. Yeah. I would say probably easy, $10,000, something like that. Yeah. When you include the room and then the room service and tips. Yeah. And, he had balloons. And then the other thing he wanted me to do was to go up in the room and turn on the World Cup game, because Brazil was playing. And then as it turned out, before he left, they were going to make it to the final. So he was booking his ticket to fly where, I forgot where it was that year, but it was in Europe, might have been Germany. Okay, yeah. Something like that. Yeah, yeah. And anyhow, he was flying there to see. So he was obviously well loaded. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to be king, huh?
Yeah. We also had the guy who booked the limousine in New York after 9/11.
Oh, right.
I forgot what that was, but that was just one transaction. But.
Yeah, we all had a situation that they were trying to get to and from New York during that time.
Yeah.
That was a strange time. A secondary question from Bobby J off of Twitter was, what was the most common thing that you did arranged? And I think we've discussed this before, but I thought of one, a very common thing that I arranged that I would never do because I always found it to be a little silly and messy. Rose petals. Very romantic.
Oh, yeah.
But I spread boxes and boxes of rose petals.
You and I went up to a room one time.
Yes.
Remember that? Yeah.
Oh, my God. Yeah, two guys. It's funny. Two guys like John and I, like John and me, spreading rose petals is the funniest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because, we're
trying to make a heart.
Make a heart.
I can't do that.
It's hysterical. It's hysterical. But, yeah, I always found that to be silly, a little bit wasteful. Yes, it's romantic, especially if you've never done it before. But, oh, my God, boxes of rose petals.
Yeah.
Boxes.
Usually those are women that ordered that.
Yeah.
I found that. I mean, it was supposed to be for them, but it was always interesting for me to see how, men and women aren't always on the same wavelength when it comes to what they think is romantic or something. I had a woman call. It was Valentine's Day, and she wanted to get something for her guy. Mm-hmm. So I gave her the list of options that they were offering from there. And one of them was, the teddy bear. Goes, oh, I'll get that. And I said, okay, I'll do what you want, but I'm just telling you, as a guy, I'm just saying I don't want a teddy bear.
Yeah.
And I've had in the past when I lived in Japan, women would give me these things that, little bunny rabbits, like little figurines they thought were really cute.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. You think it's cute? I don't. It's just junk, So thank you very much. I'd be more happy with a bottle of beer. So I kind of told her that. And I had a guy one time call, and he had this grand idea of filling the bathtub with champagne. I thought, what movie? And I said, you know how expensive that's going to be? I mean, even if it's just rock gut champagne, I mean, $35 a bottle.
Ballatory.
Yeah, and I asked one of I said, look, I'm a guy too, right? Let me just ask my female colleague if she disagrees. What do you think of that idea of filling the bathroom? She just said, ew, it's going to be all, there's a lot of sugar in there. And
then you have to take a shower after.
Yeah, take a shower to wash all that shit off. I said, no. I said, no, don't do that, dude. Yeah. Drink the champagne, don't sit in it.
And a little did you know, anybody who's making this kind of plan, we are not allowed to put candles in the rooms.
No.
Yeah, we did digital candles at the end of our tenure there, but
candlelight people, that must have
that was
another
huge.
Reason
Yeah.
But then after that, the other thing that the residue of those fuckers was that after that they enrolled or signed up or about a third of the front desk agents into that, and they're starting to. I remember Joe was over there. He was a young guy who was still on fire with his hormones because he was in his 20s, buying up candles from whatever chick had the biggest tits.
Right.
Over there. Oh, what are you going to do with all those candles?
That's right. Candles and cookies.
Yes, I don't need any candles, sweetheart.
Cindy from Podbean wrote in, and you may not know the answer to one of these. It's old school.
All right.
She said, my husband and I were there, and he gambled quite a bit. She didn't say the Venetian, she's Vegas. And the person told him that he was RFB. And she said, we didn't know what that meant. RFB, yeah. We didn't know what that meant, and so we didn't really deal with it. We thought it was something negative. And I was like, there's another secondary question. But Cindy, you shouldn't have, because RFB is actually a good thing. RFB is a comp type.
Yeah.
Kind of older, but it's room, food, and beverage.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing. Yes. So hopefully if you come back here, go back to the host or casino pit boss that did that and see if you can get that reinstated. And she said also, the person that gave this to her said that you'll be in red. And that was an old one. There must be an old pit boss that was doing this. If you're in red, that means that you're in red in the maitre d's book at the restaurant that you booked.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it meant you were in red. That was a good thing. Yeah, red, of course, in accounting terms is bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're in red, that means that the maitre d is waiting for you. It's a big deal and a good thing. So if you're RFB or in red, you need to jump on that.
I wondered. It never occurred to me if at the Venetian, because we didn't really deal too much with the casino, if their RFB was was SFB because, we didn't have any rooms. We were supposed to be an all-suite hotel.
Food and beverage,
we got slapped on the wrist if we referred to them as a room.
All right.
Yeah.
Right.
Was it sweet? Yeah, food and beverage. Well, that's good if you get up that high.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Our the corporate euphemisms.
Yes.
Problems were challenges. What else do we had to do? There was a time, John, that if you ever
because we could never say no.
We could never say no.
It's fully booked.
That's
fully
right.
committed.
Yes.
What does it mean? It means there aren't any tickets.
Right.
It means no is what it means.
Yes. And it's just like today, anytime you're customer service, we understood but couldn't help you.
Yeah.
I understand, sir, but I can't help you.
Yeah.
Or we quickly transferred you to someone who cared.
Yeah. Yeah.
But most of the time, our problems were gaming related. It's like, well, we're not gaming. Concierge are not gaming. We're hotel service.
Yeah.
And so if your comp came from gaming, we were not absolutely out of the picture.
Yeah. So yeah. And the thing is that you in their folio, in their hotel folio, I could tell whether they were an A, B, C, D level, whatever. Mm-hmm. And most people who said they were A were actually C's.
Yes.
They weren't as big a player as they thought. Those were the guys, usually the true A players, they weren't difficult to deal with. I would be surprised if some guy was really down to earth, really nice.
Yeah.
And, I'd look and I'd say, holy Christ, this guy's an A level.
Yeah.
Larry Flint's kids, they were both very nice and polite and gentlemanly. Yeah. And then we had these real pricks that thought that they owned the place, and they were C levels. Mm-hmm. And, so.
I met a guy, proof in the pudding of that. I met the guy, and I know no one's going to believe this, but he actually was. He was either the grandson or great-grandson of the individual that is given credit for the invention of the hanger.
Really?
Yes, and he had more money than God, and he was exactly like you described. Quiet, just this unobtrusive kind of person, and he rarely needed anything.
Yeah.
I was assigned to him of sorts, but the nicest guy in the world, had every credit card in the world. I think he back when American Express had their red card, which was a super secret card, he had that. But you're right, the blue M&M people are either celebrities or C level.
Yeah. I remember one time I was told we were having the. I can't remember if it was Guggen. I think it was for the Guggenheim. Mm-hmm. It was the Guggenheim or the Gettys. They were going to host an event, so they had their own suite because they were bringing people in for this. I believe it was the opening of the Guggenheim. Mm-hmm. So they wanted a concierge up there to deal with all these bigwigs. So they sent me up there.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh shit, there's going to be these pretentious people. Yeah. Well, I go in the room and they've got all the imported cheese and the crackers and they got all of this shit. And I'm sitting there and these people walked in and I thought they were just dressed like anybody else. Mm-hmm. They talked like everything was arranged for them. They had these tours that were going on. They were very nice. None of them were like snooty or anything that I was kind of expecting, knowing the names and who these people were. And then they all left because they all went on this tour together. Mm-hmm. And I sat there by myself with 15 pounds of imported cheese that I ate. Because they told me, go ahead and eat the cheese, man. It's just going to sit there and get hard. Yeah. So then people would call from the desk, and I can hear the noise over the phone. How's it? How's it down there? We're getting our ass kicked. How's it up there? Oh, it's great. And then they would come back and tell me how the tour was. Yeah. But I did almost nothing for them. I just sat there eating their cheese.
Well, I had a conversation about this regarding Elon Musk, of all things, who's apparently won the first victory for his flamethrower. I don't know why we're doing that, but it was talking about Elon Musk, and he's the type of person. He's a very unique individual, obviously, and eccentric. And it was asked of the person in this conversation, well, if you led most of your life or half of your life, if you said Diet Coke and one appeared in your hand, how long would it take you to expect every time you said Diet Coke for that to appear? And then would you then be like these people were describing if it didn't appear in your hand?
Yeah.
And I think we're all susceptible to that. If we said, ha, Diet Coke, and nothing showed up, and we've been getting Diet Coke for, 50 years, well, suddenly we're going to be upset.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that justifies acting like a shitbag, but it is. So we mentioned her in the opening of the show. I don't know that we have to tread lightly, but I'm curious about your opinion, John. We'll close with Roseanne.
Oh.
She used to appear here at the Laugh Factory, and very popular comedian. Now she said, she has tweeted some against the Me Too movement tweets. Along with a whole bunch of other people like Keith Olbermann. They're attacking him because he got his job back with ESPN, and they're attacking Disney for giving his job back, and a whole bunch of other things. And so what do you think? She has said that it was a cross between her multiple personalities, Ambien, and being tired, and she drunk tweeted, I guess, if you want to put it lightly. What do you think? Do you think they should have canceled the show? Should she be attacked?
Yeah, well, you remember we talked this on the pre-show. I didn't even know she had a show. I was gone from
twice now.
Yeah, 84 to 1999. I'd heard of the woman. I knew she had a show with John Goodman. I never saw it. I didn't know she had a news show because I don't keep up with that. I don't know why it's news. I think there are so many other things that people need to be more concerned about than Twitter bullshit and what somebody said. And to me, it isn't really what she said because I didn't even read her comment. It's that, well, if you said something knowing that you're a public-facing person like this, to tweet anything out loud like that, to say that, to me is a lapse in judgment. You have to expect that whatever it is that you say, someone's not going to like it.
Right.
So, if that, again, I just think there's so many other things to be concerned about than whatever the hell, she tweets. I really don't give a shit.
Well, she referred to an individual. I'm not even going to mention details because the details are out there. As it was an African American individual who apparently was referred to as being part of or from an offshoot of the Planet of the Apes. Okay. My opinion is this. Yes, I agree with John. Although we're not supposed to agree anymore.
Oh, that's right.
We're supposed to be mean to each other. So I'll be mean to you next show.
All right.
We have larger issues. We have bigger problems in this country than what clearly is, at the time she was not doing well, or maybe she's not doing well, period. Any tweet, I think, should be discounted as exactly that. It's just nonsensical. And I think we need to be stronger individuals. If we're really going to take account of tweets and Facebook friendships and things like that, we need to be stronger individuals. We need to hold our heads up high and say, I am who I am. And if somebody says something like, I'm from the Planet of the Apes, forget about it. Because, yes, we have bigger issues. And again, people are saying that, take everything off Netflix, take everything off Hulu. We need to, redact everything she's ever said and black out her, face in magazines.
You can't erase her from history.
Of course, she had a brilliant career, and now she's a little goofy, and I think a little goofy is heading for us all. And if anybody out there, it's glass houses to me. Have you not made a mistake? Have you not said something you wanted to pull back and can't? Many bells have been rung that have been unable to pull back. So that's what I feel. Who cares? And it's a news cycle. It'll be gone in 3 days. So are you? Who's your football team? Raiders?
49ers.
49ers. So you're Bay Area across the board.
Yeah, I'm Bay Area.
Sharks, 49ers. How
Giants.
about Giants?
Yeah.
You like the Giants?
Yeah.
How about Bonds? Does anybody care about the steroids anymore?
I never thought he did anything wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't illegal at that time. I mean, his real crime was he lied about it. And he lied about taking them. But he was a great player before the whole steroids. That's what bothers me about him not being in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He was maybe a better player before steroids. What he became afterwards was a home run hitter.
Oh, yeah.
But before that, he still hit, 25, 30 home runs a season. He hit over 300. Mm-hmm. He was still a very good hitter, but he also had speed. He also was a first-rate outfielder, which he lost because when he put on all that bulk, he was no longer as fast. So he couldn't steal. Yeah, so he lost part of his game, but he was a great player before steroids.
No, I think the steroid thing, you know what? Instead of attacking everybody and shaming everybody as we do now, I think, let's make the fences higher. Let's make the fields bigger.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that what they discount is players. If you want to call steroids cheating, fine. But players have always cheated. They took different drugs. They just didn't have them available. So don't put up old-time players. Don't put up Willie Mays and Hank Aaron and, people of that generation, Ted Williams, up on a pedestal like, oh, they would never cheat. If it was available to them, damn right they would have cheated. They did take other drugs. The uppers were very common in clubhouses. They had said, I remember, because, my mother worked for the Giants. And I worked there too in the ticket office. So we knew people who worked, clubhouse and what have you. Is that one year the Giants were doing really well with an older team. By older, at that time, guys in their 30s, you kind of retired.
Yeah.
But then they had changed the rules allowing certain amphetamines. Yeah. And these players were hopped up all the time. Yeah. That's what they told me. They had them out there like M&Ms. Offering to the players, keep them hopped up. That's so come these older guys could get a jolt. You know, when those were no longer available, they tanked.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know. We're reactive. Our global community is reactive now. I don't know why we've gotten so bad.
Yeah, and also, Jamie, it's the same thing. We cut down the millennials here. Just like older generations cut us down.
I do it on and off camera.
Yes, we do it. And the millennials will cut down younger people. So it's kind of the same with the sports, right? We always look to the older ones. They always look, the players these days are not as good as the other ones. Mm-hmm. Bob Gibson wouldn't have put up with that. Yeah. He would have with the armor that the guys wear now. Bob Gibson didn't throw 98 miles an hour. Mm. And who's to say? So many of these people that say that, he wouldn't have faced Gibson. I said, did you ever watch Bob Gibson pitch, asshole? You're too young to have seen that. So I don't always think that things were better in the past.
And Bob was mean.
He was mean.
He was a mean guy. Yeah. He'd throw at you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But see, back then, it was simpler time. And alcoholism and spousal abuse. That was all we had.
Yeah, that's right. That's all we had to worry
Motorcycles and leather jackets.
Bringing back the old days. That's old Vegas, the mob.
That's right. The mob and beating on your wife.
Booze and broads.
But John, thanks for being in the studio. It was good to see you again. Everybody, if you want to contact us, it's the podbaydoorlv@gmail.com. Again, thanks to our sponsor for this month, MRS Events. For all of your local event needs, especially if you're coming in and you need what, John?
You need hot chicks.
Hot chicks, John. Or if you need anything else, entertainers, musicians.
Or hot chicks.
Or hot chicks. Contact them at mrs-events.com and they can take care of all of your needs. Check out all of our social networking. You can see all those t-shirts floating around. I'm going to have those posted as soon as I can starting on Monday. And if you're interested in having one of those t-shirts, let us know. They're actually pretty cool. But for John, this is Jamie. Thank you so much for everything. We hope you can find your own personal peace. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.